My name's Will and I don't do drugs. In this video, I'll be talking all about that experience. I figured it'd be a cool video to do because I think it's one of the things that are unique about me that I can actually make a video on and 1,000 other people haven't made it. I'll talk about some unique things like the struggles, my experiences, how I've been able to accomplish this and stick with it, and if it's been tough, if I've had any flack about it, and all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm going to just kick it off with, is it tough? Is it difficult? Do others give you peer pressure when they find out I don't drink or smoke or anything like that? I found that like 99% of my lifestyle, it's good. But then, when, let's say you're at a bar or it comes up in conversation, sometimes, depending on the person, it can be tough. I think some people are respectful and they're like, okay, that's fine. But sometimes it can be difficult because uh, almost everyone seems to like to drink. It's kind of like one of those vices or rules brought about by Christianity or other religions where you have just these high standards, and I think it's just human nature for someone to do something, whether it's weed or alcohol and all that stuff, and no one follows it, and then you're like one of the only people to be like actually do it, and rather than get like praise, sometimes they're like, man, why, that's kind of weird, or man, you should be drinking, or something like that. So why do I do it? Well, I think it's generally better for my health. I don't want to get addicted. I don't want to get any uh, extra costs financially or health or mind. So I'm very proud of it, and I think it's pretty cool. However, not everyone thinks so. I think we need to push this idea that it's actually pretty awesome and something to be proud of. And I think people just generally, like, they either smoke weed or they drink alcohol, if nothing else. And I think over time, as I've grown older, I've learned that alcohol is something that can be used with control, and not everyone who drinks becomes belligerent or makes poor decisions. I used to work for a company who would have who would drink beers every Friday after noon at work. It was like the Friday thing to do, and they all did it responsibly. It was a great way to bond, and I've learned that in all cultures, Asian, Irish, American, European, alcohol is oftentimes a big thing. That said, there's clearly ramifications for it if used irresponsibly. I've known people who have uh, crashed and died from drinking. I've known people online, at least, like John Jones, who have let alcohol basically ruin their personal life despite having a prestigious career. I mean, this guy is arguably one of the greatest fighters to ever live in the UFC, and yet, he, without just like proper guidance and control on how to drink responsibly, it's kind of ruined him in a sense in certain occasions personally. Plus, certain things are clearly bad, like cigarettes and stuff like that. On rare occasions, someone will say like, oh, weed isn't that bad. It doesn't affect your health. No one's ever died from weed. That's the common thing. But something I'll say in my head is like, well, it's still a financial cost. It still like dims your mind and all this stuff. And there's plenty of people who have said that, who have used weed themselves and quit because of that. But they kind of use these rationalizations to continue it. So I guess my point is this: my experience has been generally good because it usually doesn't come up in conversation. However, I wish people were more like, you're awesome for doing that. You've restrained yourself. You've done well. You've kept a clear mind, rather than just feeling okay about it, or even saying, hey, just have a drink or something like that. On some social occasions, I think sometimes it is socially tactful to drink. I think there's gray areas, and it's not white or black. For example, there's this one time where I was at this young Asian social barbecue, and one man next to me, I was like, hey, how's it going? What'd you do before this? he told me his wife just died and he was spent the day transporting her car back to her family who lives across the country. I mean, I wasn't prepared for that, but you know, he probably didn't want to say it either, but he was just like being honest. And then, you know, I tried to comfort him and he's like, you know, it's no big deal. You know, you asked, so I told you. But he was really, really hurting there. And so everyone was doing a shot and he's like, you want to do a shot? And I'm like, I don't usually drink, but you know, in this one occasion, I'll do a shot for you. I just felt that was a nice gesture. So once again, you have to be socially smart. It's not a black and white. He was respectful. He's like, you don't have to drink at all. And I believed him. And at first I was like, no, I'm not going to drink. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know, for you, this is a nice gesture. As far as health and effects, you might be like, oh, does that lead to like superpowers if you're not doing any drugs? No, I still have my vices. No one's perfect. My addictions are probably like sugar, like candy. You know, I got some dark chocolate with almonds over there. I mean, at least it's dark chocolate, so it's a little healthier. Video games are somewhat of addiction, not really an addiction, but I do play them fairly often, probably several hours a week. So that's not to say I'm without vices or flaws. That said, I think it's not really like a superpower. It's just like I think I'm more clearer in certain situations where others wouldn't be. So I think I'm maybe a bit more sharp, focused, responsible. There's really no risks of like spirals out of control or things that are sucking up my cash or you know causing me health issues or mind issues because I'm addicted to something like cocaine or meth or so forth. Now, I think my approach is like don't even get started, and that's how I've succeeded. But for others, it can be a different story. I totally empathize with people to the best of my ability. I've never been there, but I can imagine because with other things where I am addicted to, I understand how tough it can be once you're in it to get out of it. So I know it's like once you're doing it, like it's probably really tough to get out of it. So I'm never one to like judge or say like, hey, like oh, just get out of it. No, I understand. I understand it can be very difficult. So that's my take on it. I found it to be my behavior to be rather rare or unique in certain ways. Like I'm sure there's plenty of people who also don't do any drugs. My mom is one of them. But sometimes I do feel like, man, I'm the only one. Like, and you know, it's usually because people, at the least, you will still do weed or vape or drink, at the very least. So that's my story, and I hope I can continue that for the rest of my life. I'm very proud of myself for it, and I applaud myself. I think we should kind of push that a little bit more, or at least applaud people who do that, and try not to like push them into it if they don't want to. And I respect the people who do say like, okay, you don't want to drink, you don't want to smoke, that's okay, that's on you. And I would say most of the time it's pretty good. You know, but it does come up on occasion, you know, when you're meeting new people or you're at some place where there is drinking or hookah or something else, it can come up. So generally I've been very lucky where I've never had to be put into a situation where I was extremely peer pressured and I could say no. There have been cases where there was a lot of push for it, but it doesn't happen that much. I would say there are people out there who don't drink as well. So for the most part, I'm not alone. And yeah, it's a cliche, like don't do drugs. Yeah, at the same time, I think there's still not as much people who really like let that process in their head and like celebrate it. It's more so just been cliche touted by celebrities or people who have done drugs and regretted it and wanted to warn others. That seems to have kind of at least in recent times, been fallen on deaf ears or gone through one ear and out the other. And I'm proud to say I'm one of them. I think there's a lot out there, but yeah, I think you can do it if you're doing just drinking. That can be done responsibly. So don't beat yourself up. I'm definitely not perfect either. As I said, I have my vices. And I hope you consider it or think about how you can move in a better way in life. And yeah, sometimes it requires professional treatment because from what I hear, sometimes it's just like very difficult to deal with on your own once you're addicted. So best of luck to you. And yeah, that's my story. I hope it was something unique that I could put out there on YouTube. I found it to be in my story. A lot of people will at least drink or smoke. So that's that. And generally, I feel like while it doesn't give you superpowers, I think it does lead to a happy, holistic life. And I'm proud of myself for doing that.